Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I'm your host, Asia the Bird. I have a very special guest with me today. She's a crochet artist and designer. Please welcome Zane's Closet. Hello, Zane, and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I first heard of your work, on Instagram, and I ran into your crochet hats. They look really, really amazing. But I want to go ahead and ask, like, where are you from and how'd you get started into crocheting?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I started crocheting back in 2017. I learned
Mm-hmm.
how to knit back in 2014, and
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to learn how to make clothes in a different way other than just sewing. So
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure out how to knit clothes without having a big knitting machine. So every time I looked how to knit the item on YouTube, it would say you have to crochet it. And for a while, I thought
Mm-hmm.
crocheting was hard, but I ended up figuring out. Thanks to you,
Yes.
university.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm from Maryland too. I'm pretty much like an hour away from you, so I'm like in water.
Oh wow, that's a bop.
But yeah, but that's really, really cool. But I definitely want to also get into like, were there any knitters that you were inspired by, anybody that were into crocheting, or people that are in the fiber?
I actually wasn't inspired by anyone in particular, other than
Mm-hmm.
me just wanting to make clothes, and that's why I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, let me figure out what I want to make. Yeah, during the time,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't popular on Instagram, so
Right.
yeah, like, it really just blew up out of nowhere. It wasn't popular. It wasn't
Yeah,
popular.
yeah, right,
It was
exactly.
something I was doing in my spare time, so it was just like, "Oh, okay, let me just make what I want to make." So,
Yeah, right, exactly, most definitely. Now, in terms of like fashion, what would you consider like your favorite era of like fashion, possibly?
I would say 2000, like early
Yeah.
2000. Yeah, I love early 2000, and I like the 70s for certain outfits. So, yeah,
Mm.
like
Yeah, I'm the
brown.
same. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the browns, like the earth tones, but also too, I like the bright colors in some of those on some of those eras too. 80s, 90s, stuff like that. So yeah, the nostalgia thing is really coming back. Stuff is always recycled, different trends and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it's a little hard trying to create something new that nobody hasn't seen, but
Yeah, right, exactly. But I also want to get into in terms of like, what was the decision behind just making like solely like crochet hats?
so honestly, I started off making clothing items, and they were good. It was cool. Like people at one point was like liking this skirt that I made, but like I said,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't popular at the time. So by the time
Mm-hmm.
it became popular, I made this style hat like 2 years ago. So for
Mm-hmm.
just now being as popular as it is now, it wasn't. Everybody was just like, "Oh, that's different. Oh, that's different." And now it's like, "Oh, I want one. I want one." So
Mm-hmm.
I actually got stuck making hats.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm trying to get out of it. Just making
Yeah,
hats.
yeah, yeah. Venturing onto other garments. In terms of having like your own like crochet business, so what has been your whole experience having your own crochet business, possibly?
It's been different. It's been very
Mm-hmm.
different. Yeah, that's all I can really say about it. It's been different.
Mm-hmm.
Been
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Um, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot, and you just gotta figure out because everybody always talk about trying to push people to do entrepreneurship, and
Uh-huh.
it's not for everyone. Like
Mm-hmm.
especially if you let it get out of control. Well, as though I'm learning how to I know my limits now rather than
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning. Because in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning it was steady versus
Mm-hmm.
this year it was like it was overwhelming and it was just like okay,
Right.
I'm gonna have to set some boundaries with y'all.
All
Like,
right,
we have
exactly.
to set some. I was like, we're going to set some policies and procedures out here.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love when people are happy and they take their photos in it and things like that. So I just try my
Mhm.
best.
Yeah, you still kind of learn the ropes still of entrepreneurship essentially.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same way too, because I'm still learning about the ins and outs of business, having my own business stuff like that, like especially in art business, because especially with pricing is not very easy, because you don't want to price too low and you don't want to price too high. So, what has been your experience if you can give it in terms of like pricing like your crochet pieces?
That has been a struggle, definitely, as far as pricing too low. But I just listen to people and I just get advice from others. So
Mm-hmm.
the price of my hats used to be as low as like $25. And then
Mm-hmm.
my friends and other people was like, it is worth more than that. Like, so I just let people tell me what it's worth. And I was just like, you know what? You're right. And then at first it was because I was also starting off and I wasn't making as many.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just making it in my free time. So I didn't feel the need to really like price on, and it depends what you want to price your stuff on as well. So
Mm-hmm.
since I was making it in my free time and I wasn't making as many starting off, I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
pricing on how long it was taking me to make it.
Right.
Versus now that I'm making it for multiple people that I don't know across the world, it's just like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this price gonna reflect my time, my energy, the products. I mean, like how much it costs for the yarn, everything. So like the current price for it is literally the bare minimum of like the time it takes to make it, pro- um, yarn and
Mm-hmm.
shipping. Like it's really it's just at the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of
Because
those things you have to take
I
into account.
feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't want nobody to feel like, oh, and I mean, I'm pretty sure big businesses don't care. Of course, they don't care. 'Cause that's why they big businesses.
Right, right, exactly.
I don't want to make people feel like, oh, it's high, and it's just like, what am I actually
Mm-hmm.
paying for? And it's just like, so it's really at the bare minimum currently. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but bounce up what you're saying. But I mean, it is considerable in terms of whatever price that you price that, because those things take into account the shipping, the time it takes to make it,
yes,
the materials, because that stuff costs money. So you have to have the ability to, buy these products and also sustain yourself. So, I think that's something that people have to understand, especially, when buying artist work is like, it's priced at this price. Like, say, for instance, if you have like a crochet like hat that's like $100, something like that, and it's like a big like custom hat or whatever. You took the time to kind of make it, but also too, there's materials and stuff that go into it. So that's why it's that particular price. So that's something that people have to understand, especially everyday people. Like if you want something, it's gonna be worth the price because it's that takes a lot of time. So it may seem overly priced, but it's like if you have no problem buying like an expensive bag that's $100, $200, then why not support like a small business that has, a custom design like jacket or, like a custom design crochet hat that's worth that much, that's
yeah,
handcrafted, handmade, and the time is put into it.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the entire thing. So with your hats, I want to also get into this too. Like, do you plan out what you're gonna do in terms of the hats, or you just pretty much just freestyle?
Um. So the hats that I currently have, the only one, not the only one. So there's ones. So the first one that I made, 'cause I actually have square right here. So the first one I made is the sunflower, and I
Mm-hmm.
personally made it just for me. I was like, I like sunflowers. I want a sunflower hat. I didn't see one. I was just like, let me make one. So that's how I ended up making
Right.
it. Then somebody seen it and was like, they wanted one. So they were just like, so they told me the colors that they wanted. That's how the mystery machine has happened. And that's the green, the dark green and the light green with the
Mm-hmm.
gold center.
Mm-hmm.
It just went on like that. Like people, the marigold one is mine. I love marigold. Like I seen a marigold and I was like, oh, these colors will look great. Like
Mm-hmm.
so that's how the marigold one came about. And just like that, pretty much.
Mhm.
When I just have enough inventory, which is it's basically be getting ideas from people,
Right.
and it's just able to been recycled, basically. Like the
Mhm.
sunset one,
Yeah, right.
somebody I knew personally wanted it for their birthday. They was like, "Oh, I want
Right.
sunset colors." And I was just like, "What is sunset colors?" Like people just be so vague, so vague sometimes because sunset colors could go either way. Like sometimes the sunset is
Right.
purple and light blue, or like sometimes it's like orange and red. So I was just like, "What is
Mhm.
sunset colors?" But she liked the colors I went with, so I was like, "Okay." And she got a lot of compliments, so I made it one of the hats that's available, and it
Mhm.
pretty much went on from there. Like I made a Starry Night one because I love Van Gogh, and I was like, "Ooh,
Mhm.
these colors." I just love colors, and I love how colors work together, and I love
Mhm.
how colors work together so well that it really doesn't have to show anything, but your brain will make you think of something. Like the
Mhm.
sunflower colors, like the colors of the they don't. It's not a sunflower. It's just really just a pattern in colors.
Right.
Your brain is like, oh, that's a sunflower. And then when I realized that can happen, I was like, oh yes, I can make anything. So
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, right. Most definitely. I'm the same way. I'm into colors too. Like this jacket in particular, like I designed like myself, like with different colors, and I found like colorful buttons. I just glued buttons on the hair. So, I like those pops of color. You know what I mean? I just love like putting art just on, stuff on clothing to express myself. And it's really cool because it is like when it comes out of bright colors, like it makes people happy. When you have like dark colors, it kind of it's like a
happen,
gloomy type of vibe a little bit. So yeah, bright colors. You can never go wrong with bright colors.
yeah. And I love that.
Yeah.
It's very 90s inspired.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks so much. But I also want to get into too in terms of social media in your perspective. So with being a creator, how has like social media helped you like gain, and like to help people gain interest in your work possibly, in terms of social media?
um, so recently it's really due to the algorithm, honestly.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, like I said, I made the head 2 years ago. So for a while, I didn't have a following. Um,
Hmm.
Nobody really saying it besides me going out vending or me wearing it. Somebody being like, "Oh, I want one," and
Hmm.
that kind of helped. But unfortunately, to say it didn't help the way how once Instagram, I guess, however the algorithm worked, how whoever's doing whatever, once
Right.
Instagram was like, "Oh, you can do this to promote it," and I didn't pay for promotion. It was just like tag your products in your reel when I did the Instagram shopping, and people was like
Hmm.
kept popping up on that explore page, and I was
Right.
just like, "Oh wow!" And then that's what started it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Came so unexpectedly. I was just like, "Okay, like hold up, hold up, wait a minute." I don't even know half of
Hmm.
y'all. Y'all just came out the woodworks this year.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like the algorithm, that does play a part in terms of like social media and how people can like find out about your work and stuff like that. And the thing is, like the more you like a certain thing, the more it's gonna show up on your timeline in
Yeah.
terms of Instagram or any like social media. Whether it's Twitter or TikTok, whatever. So yeah, that's it's interesting how social media works and things like that. So just in terms of like with your hats, have you been able to gain like a decent clientele possibly? Or is that still like something that you're still, working on?
Far as clientele, like it's someone like customers that will come back type of thing, or I
Yeah,
feel
so
like
like customers, like in terms of drawing interest in your work, like, also coming back as well, like, both of those things I would say.
yes, it has happened. I've had people who majority of the time when people purchase a hat, I'm assuming I don't know if it's due to the price or just due to the hat in general. most people buy for
Hmm.
other people for their birthdays. So it's normally given as a
Oh,
birthday. Most
okay.
people, I'll eventually find out like, oh, like one time actually in person, I seen a girl with the hat on. I was just like, oh hey, like my homegirl was like, yeah, she's the one that made it, da 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 da. And I was just like, yeah, it's me. And she was like, oh, it was a birthday gift. I love this hat so much. Thank you. So most of the time, it's definitely a birthday gift. So that
Hmm.
kind of helps. And yeah, people come back and be interested in purchasing other things, or they be like, oh, do you know how to make this, or can you make anything? And honestly, I'm not really interested in the way of making custom items for other people that is not
Okay.
something already made.
Right.
Because people, when it comes to crochet, people typically send you other people's work and not knowing or not knowing that it's like you're basically asking me to copy. And I'll just be like,
Right.
no. Like,
Hmm.
so how I avoid all of that is I just don't make customs unless it's something you want me to customize something I already made.
Hmm.
So if somebody brought a hat, and she actually purchased two hats before. So this time she purchased a hat again, and it was for her birthday.
Hmm.
And she got it customized, but it was just a change of colors and
Hmm.
just to add like a smiley face and stuff. So it was just like little alterations. But I don't mind doing that. But you sending me somebody's stuff, a lot of people do that. A lot of people will send you somebody's work and be like, hey, can you make this? Can you make this in this colors? Or and it's just like, why don't you just go to that person? Which I mean, I understand why you probably didn't because their prices was probably high or whatever the case was, or you just didn't want that person to make it.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's like, I can't. So
Yeah. That's understandable. Just because it's like they want you to copy off somebody else's work. Like, hey, can you do something like that? Can you do something like this? You know what I mean? And I think it should be like we have to understand. There again where like let people have it, like do it in their own interpretation and their own style, like not necessarily just like what that is, what you want in the picture. But if people have a certain uniqueness to their work, embrace their uniqueness to their work. You know what I mean? And of course, people say, give people what they want and stuff like that. And I can understand that to a degree, but also to like I think also to at the same time, if you're coming to that person for their work, you should, ask like, hey, can you make, this hat like how you made it, like, but in your own way, like to give you that creative freedom.
right,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's the thing. I think that's something that people I think should understand a bit more, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's the entire thing with that. But in terms of knitting, I want to get into knitting as well. So what are things that you knitted? Like have you knitted like did you knit like blankets or like, sweaters? Like, what was the whole experience with knitting?
Um, that's crazy. It's so crazy because I stopped knitting because I all I knew how to knit really was hats. Like I would knit a beanie and
Mm-hmm.
um like the little band, like the
Mm-hmm.
ear warmers and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
what else? I've knitted the first thing I ever knitted was an infinity scarf. I brought what is it called? I brought I guess you could say it was a kit. I brought a kit
Mm-hmm.
from CPS that I was working at the time. They had it in the stationery section. And I was just like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to knit and it had the instructions on how to knit an infinity scarf. That's when I
Mm-hmm.
realized that I cannot read written instructions to learn something. Like I was looking at the pictures like supposed to do what? Hold up. Like I need to see this in real life in real time.
Right, right, right.
These pictures ain't helping. So that's when
Mm-hmm.
I went to YouTube and I learned how to knit. And I was just like, oh, this is easy. I was like, this is nothing. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay. And it was very soothing. So
Mm-hmm.
first thing I knitted was an infinity scarf. And yeah, I didn't take knitting too far because like I said, every time I would YouTube it, and also it wasn't very popular and I didn't have a grandparent or anybody else to teach me. I'm the only one in
Right.
my so um so yeah, so when I looked up how to knit clothes, it would always say crochet. Like even when it came to sweaters, there's certain thing it would always say crochet, or you would need a different knitting tool. So some knitting to do like
Mm,
sweaters and things is connected instead of just the
mm,
two. Like the two needles are connected instead of separate. So at the
mm.
time, I was like, well, I only got two separate needles. That looked difficult. Like, how am I gonna remember where to put the needle or like where to it was a lot. And I
Right,
wasn't
right.
not mentally prepared for it. I was just like, you know what? I was like, I can learn how to crochet. I found this girl video. I forgot her name. It was so long ago on how to crochet chunky shorts. Cause I figured if it's a bigger needle crochet hook, I can learn it faster. So I bought this big
Mhm,
old crochet hook and this chunky yarn. I was like, I'm gonna learn how to crochet these shorts. I was so happy when
mm.
it was done. I was like, yes, I can crochet anything. I was like, this is easy. When I figured that out,
Mm,
this is all crochet and bend. It's just, I was like, wow. And I was like, it's so much easier to maneuver. Whereas though with knitting, you don't have that mobility to like just either if you want to stop right here and go back type of thing.
mhm.
You don't have the ability to just maneuver whenever you need to.
Yeah, right.
Like you would have to like get another hook. I mean, get another needle, and like it would take too much unless you have a knitting machine. But other than that, I was just like, oh yeah. I was like, this is it. I was like, I like this.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Like, how long did it take? Was it like an hour, to do those crochet shorts?
I don't remember. Like I said, crocheting and knitting is very soothing to me. So
Mm,
time just be going by. I don't pay attention. That's why I actually had to time myself to price my hat. I had to actually time myself on how long it's gonna take me to crochet it. 'Cause I was just so
mm,
used to just doing it and just like sitting there watching a movie or binge watching a TV show, and then
mhm.
realize, oh, I'm done. I can wear it. When I
All
wasn't
right.
paying attention, much time done passed.
Mm.
So
Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. When I do like nail art and stuff, or like press on nails, like I don't pay attention to much of the time. Like I could give like an estimate and say, okay, I've done these like this X amount of hours, but I don't like really time myself and stuff like that. And of course, it's understandable to like have that set time because people ask you like, oh, how long did it take you to do that? How long did it take you to make that? So, you do have to come with some sort of like estimation of how long you've done a custom design thing. But I also want to get into this too, like just based on what you've seen, in terms of like people that do like crochet pieces and stuff like that, especially on social media. Like, what are some things that have stood out to you in terms of like fibers fashion, possibly in your perspective?
my favorite thing, honestly, is when people use yarn not for crocheting, like when they use it on paintings and things like that. Cause that's what I want to do next. Like I don't want to just keep making clothes anymore. Like it's cool,
Mm,
but my favorite thing now is like, ooh, I could make something on a canvas. Like it
right,
don't
right,
have to be something that's got to be worn. Like it's okay. So I like that.
right.
And I like people who are making rugs. People are getting real creative with these rugs and wall
Yeah,
hangings.
yeah,
Like I've seen some real good ones. Like people who take their time to like actually carve it out and stuff like that. With this, I love it. I'm like, oh yeah, you took your time with that one.
yeah, yeah.
Cause
Right. Those punch rugs.
I tried to do the punch needle. I said, oh, I ain't got these type of patience. I ain't got these type of patience at all. So
Mm,
I
yeah,
would do it if I had a tufting gun, but the people who still do it by hand, which I'm pretty sure it's probably few, since you could get it. Everybody know you could get a tufting gun now, but yeah,
mm,
just doing a punch needle by hand, and it's you doing a big one and not something small. Yeah, those patients. Mm-mm. I realized real quick. I was just like, yeah, no. I think said, no, that's not for me. But I love
right. Exactly.
people do it now. I'm just like, yeah, keep doing that. I'm gonna stick over here to
Mhm.
my crocheting because y'all got that one. But I'm
Mhm.
definitely gonna get into doing abstract art with on a canvas with yarn. I definitely want to get
Mhm.
into that. 'Cause I love, and also my favorite thing about yarn is that it's so soft. Like
Right.
certain ones, I just love how it
Mhm.
feels. I love how it feels, and it feels so good. It's just like yes,
Right. Exactly.
it would just say yes. So
Yeah, yeah. Yarn has a very soft touch to it. Yeah, absolutely. And especially if it's like natural like yarn that come from like animal, like for like sheep or something like that. You know what I mean? Especially like with felt. Felt is very soft. It's like a cotton type of feel to it. But yeah,
yeah.
but also like with fashion, with fibers and fashion too. Like fibers, I like how, like how you said before, like people are putting, doing crochet on a canvas. There's this one guy, I think his name is Will Crochet. This guy, like he does like these like crochet pieces, or these like fibers like portraits. You should check out his work, and I'll probably send you his Instagram. But also too, one of my colleagues that I went to art school with, I went to SCAD, called Savannah College of Art and Design. It's in Georgia. One of
Mm-hmm.
my colleagues from Chicago, who I interviewed not so long ago, her name is Chelsea, and she does crocheting too. And you should see her work. Her work's phenomenal. She does like crochet like dresses, outfits and stuff like that. She does like get ready with me. It's like I think you'll really like her work. Her work is
Okay.
really great. Yeah, but I like how there's so many avenues to fibers and fiber art, especially people making animals, people making, punch needle rugs and stuff like that, like how you said before. And I'm like, like those punch needle rugs are so cool, especially like, coasters, like crochet coasters or whatever.
Seen those. Those are cute. Like the
Yeah,
one name is like little strawberries and stuff. I think that's so cute. Like I seen a cherry one. I said, "Oh, that is adorable."
yeah. Right.
Oh, I ain't got the patience to make it, but that's adorable though. Like I did that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right, exactly. It's so much you can do with crocheting or with like yarn in general. You know what I mean? You can make pom poms, and it's so much you can do. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
cool.
And I love that everybody is finding their own niche in it. So like
Hmm.
everybody that's not running to make clothes. Everybody not like how you say everybody's not running to just like do rugs. It's so many different things. Like I've seen people who just only make like it's actually I don't know this one guy name, but he just popped up on my explore page. But he only makes sushi or like Japanese food or something like that. Like he only
Hmm.
makes food. I've seen people who like how you say only make animals. And it's just like,
Right.
oh, that is so adorable. I wouldn't take the time to do that, but y'all got that one. Like,
Right, yeah, right.
like I love that. I love that everybody has their own little niche. Like, this was one lady on TikTok. She hasn't popped up on my For You page in a while, but she make boobs and other genital areas, other private areas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's just like I really just be wondering like because she makes so many, it's just like who's I want to go to my house, like who's out here buying these? Like, but I love that everybody has their own space.
Yeah, yeah, their own line of focus. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now, in your perspective, what is your take in terms of like, because I know like the economy is kind of, you know, crazy right now with food prices going up, gas prices going up, and stuff like that. What's your take in terms of the economy and how it's impacting artists? If you can give your perspective on that.
Um, I really can't get my perspective on that. Um,
Okay.
yeah, because only like I don't know how it is in Waldorf, Maryland, but in Baltimore, Maryland, it hasn't been too bad yet.
Right.
So like the gas prices are actually coming back down. So when I be hearing people say that the gas prices are high, I'm like, shh, oh, don't wish that upon us.
Right. I mean, you can only get like, yeah,
Coming
you can
back
give your
down.
perspective in terms of Baltimore. Like, it don't have to be like as a whole. It could just be like in your area, like in terms of, you
Yeah,
know.
the only thing is food. Unfortunately, these food prices is ridiculous. Like I went
Hmm.
to the store to buy eggs and like the sausage,
Hmm.
the Polish looking sausage. the smoked sausage, and it was the same price. They both was for $5. I was a little hurt. I was just like,
Right, right.
I was like, I could go get my daughter a Happy Meal for $5.
Good Lord.
It don't, even though people say that, it don't equate to the same thing because eggs and the
Right,
sausage,
right.
if you don't eat it in one day and it's for one person, it's not as bad, but it's still
Yeah.
them food prices. It's sad that something because the thing about food prices, like gas prices will fluctuate, but food prices don't never go back down. Like that's
Right,
one
exactly. Yeah.
that doesn't go back down. So yeah, for me, I guess my perspective on that is more so making a conscious decision on where to spend my money if for food, just about because
Yeah,
them
yeah.
prices it's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's really crazy. Like, here in where I'm at, it's kind of like the price have went up like a little bit. So it's like in terms of, like, for instance, like gas is like at least $4, darn near $5 at one point. I think it kind of went back down. I kind of noticed a little bit, but yeah, food prices they've gone up and stuff like that, and and it's just really crazy. It's just crazy how the economy has, certain prices are going up, and now it's kind of fluctuating here and there. I don't know. It's really really crazy. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But just in terms of like your crochet, your artwork and things like that. Like, what is next for you in terms of like crocheting? Like,
Um, I want to make my items a little bit more exclusive. I
mm,
did when initially starting out, I was like, oh, I would love to see a lot of people with my hats and things like that. But running the business and it solely being me, it's just I would prefer the exclusivity
right.
because for me, I just can't deal with a lot of people all at once. I'm about to be like Telfa, I drop a color or situation, and once it sells out, it's gone for the
Yeah,
moment
yeah,
or
it's going, it's going.
for the next time it comes around.
Hmm.
Because yeah, I've been very overwhelmed and yeah, and these like how you said these prices, yarn went up too. Yarn, because I use cotton yarn, so I don't use plastic, or
Okay.
acrylic, which is plastic. I use cotton yarn. This one is a one of a kind. I actually had
Hmm.
a friend that tie dyes. She tie dyed the yarn, and
Okay.
I designed the hat. But I use cotton yarn. Cotton yarn now for one thing it's like $5.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It used to be like $2.49. Now it's
Right,
like
right.
19. The price done doubled. I'm just like, and these
Yeah,
people are
yeah,
coming to me.
yeah.
I'm
Just like
over
with food prices. Yeah, just like with food prices, stuff has, just like gone up in terms of art
yeah,
supplies
I feel
too.
like you know how back then everything was roughly around like a quarter to a dollar.
Hmm.
That dollar now is $5. Everything is roughly around to like $4 to $5. Like
Hmm.
nothing is below that. It feels like anymore. Like nothing.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But last but not least, where can people find your social media and how can people support your work that you do?
You can find me on Instagram, or actually on all social media platforms. Luckily, my name was available, so on all social media platforms, you can find Zhane Closet. It's Zhane, Z as in zebra, Hane Closet on all social media
Mhm.
platforms. So if you need to get in contact with me, that's Gmail account, that's Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, all of it. Anything you can think of, just about.
Mhm. Yeah,
Same
yeah.
name, Facebook. All of it is
Hmm.
the same. All of it is the same name, and
Yeah,
it's
well,
Princess.
thank you so much.
No problem. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much, Zane, for jumping onto the show. I thought it was Zane at first, because like, the thing is with like, the ZH, like I forgot like the pronunciation of like sometimes people say Zane or Zane and stuff like that, like the group Zane, you know.
So the group name is Johnny, and I get the
Oh,
confusion. So that's why I don't stress over people saying it wrong or anything because it's French. So unless you took a
okay.
French class, the Z in French is pronounced like a J. So it's
Oh,
Janae. Yeah. So let's
okay.
use it the jaw.
Well, Zhane, thank you so much for jumping onto the show. Your work is absolutely great. I dig the vibe with the hats. It's really, really cool. It's really been fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, take care.
All right, you too.
Bye bye. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and visit my website, asiaticbird.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care and stay beautiful.